Hey everybody, Mike Lawson here. I have never shared this story before. How losing $30,000 was great. Actually, it wasn't great, but it was a great lesson. And let me explain. So, in the summer of 1999, well, let me actually back up. My entire life, I've always wanted to be a business owner. Where I grew up at in Philadelphia, there was a franchise, a local franchise that I always wanted to own. Some of you guys know this, know the gist of the background or the gist of the story, but I've always wanted to own this franchise and I never had any money, so I worked and worked and worked. I've been working since I was 15 years old and I saved up a lot of money and I saw this franchise exploding all around me and I saved up and I've always been frugal. I've always been a great saver and I decided to open up my own. Well, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. And what I mean by that is I had my life savings of $30,000 from the time I was 15 to the time I was 21 and lost that in 3 months. Because I wasn't, I was at the right place at the right time, I just wasn't prepared. And I heard a quote before, when preparation meets opportunity, that equals success. Now, there was a great opportunity around me with this franchise. I just wasn't prepared. I was young, didn't have any money. So I decided, what's the next best thing? Try to do it on my own. So I saved up from the time I was 15 to the time I was 21. The last job I ever had was in 1999, and I decided to open up my own. Well, I lost, from what took me 6 years to save, I lost that in 3 months. And it was devastating. My son was a year old. We just celebrated his first birthday, actually at this ice cream store. So, and some of you guys, I'll give a shout out to Summerton in Northeast Philadelphia, Summerton Spartans. It was Grand Slam ice cream. And, I knew nothing about business. I just knew that I wanted to be a business owner. I had money burning a hole in my pocket, although I was very frugal. I don't know if you can relate to that. Comment if you can relate to that. I just had money burning a hole in my pocket, and I wanted to do something, and I really didn't do any research. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. So I decided to do that. Well, in those 3 months, it was the worst 3 months at the time of my life because it was just a bad location for that type of business. Didn't know what I was doing. Never been a business owner. Didn't take advice from anybody, which I'm going to get into that in a second. So the lesson that I learned there was, number one, was being prepared. I wasn't prepared. And this, hopefully you can relate to in any aspect of your life. That's why it's important to be reading books, working on yourself. Listen, if you get an opportunity, let's say in your job, to advance and you're not prepared, well, guess what? Time either promotes you or exposes you. If you're not ready for that promotion, it's eventually going to go away. So you need to be prepared. Well, I wasn't prepared, meaning I didn't do any research. I was just excited. I wanted to own my own business. So I dumped, all my money into this. And some of you guys know this, because I was stuck there literally 12 hours a day for 3 or 4 months. And it was devastating and it was embarrassing, because it wasn't doing well. Now, so again, it's just important to, be prepared. So, and I heard this one time that if you were given $1 million, best you be prepared to be a millionaire, or best you hurry to become a millionaire. And what I mean by that is, let's say all your debt is paid. We pay everything off. We just don't give you $1 million and you pay all, and now you have $500,000 worth of debt. You only have $500,000. Imagine if you were given $1 million, paid all your debt off, and you have $1 million cash. You are a millionaire. But if you're not prepared to be a millionaire in your mind, well, guess what? It's going to go away. Over 70% of lottery winners will go bankrupt within 5 years. I mean, it's hard to believe. Crazy. Why? Because they're not prepared. So my lesson, number one, was be prepared. Now, again, as devastating as that was for me to lose my life savings of $30,000, I was in school full time. My son just turned 1. I was stressed out of my mind. I just had a lot going on, and I was a complete failure. Well, lesson number 2 was to listen to your mentor. Now, I've always talked about how important it is to have a mentor. How about trying to listen to your mentor? Well, I had a mentor at the time that helped me get into college, Joe Brockway, and he was great, man. I wouldn't have went to college if it wasn't for him. And he knew my dreams and goals and ideas. I didn't tell him about this business. And the reason why I didn't tell him about this business is because I didn't want anyone to tell me no. I didn't want anyone to steal my dream. Now, in hindsight, if I would have told him, fast forward, I ended up telling him after the business failed in September or October of that. No, actually, it was in August of that year because that's when I took over my new company. I'll get into that in a second. But in August of that year, I knew it was a complete failure. I called Joe. I told him what I did. He said, "Why didn't you tell me before?" And that was the reason, because I knew he would have talked me out of it. And that's exactly what he said. He said, "I would have told you not to do it." But you know what else he said? He said, "This is the best mistake you'll ever make." Now, I was devastated. I mean, imagine losing your life savings. You just have a newborn baby, pretty much. He's a year old, going to school full time. I have all this student loan debt. I'm a complete failure. It was one of the worst times of the lowest points of my life. And he said, "This is the best thing that ever happened to you. Glad you got it out of the way now." And again, I believe everything happens for a reason. And he introduced me to, another business. I still have that business today. It's been 17 years. That business is great. I love the people. It's been a great business. But if that didn't happen in my life, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And I was devastated. I had no idea where I was going to go from there. So lesson number 2 is listen to your mentor. Not only get a mentor, but listen to him. But I was so afraid to tell him that because I knew he was going to talk me out of it. And I'll share the story with you because I'll never forget it. We were in my store, and it was August of that year. We were talking about the next business, and I was just I was bummed out. I was bummed, and he knew. I wasn't depressed, but I was just bummed out, man. I was just at one of the lowest points of my life. So he shared a story with me, and it made sense, or this visualization. He said, "Imagine you're a race car driver. You're doing 200 miles an hour around the track. Somebody bumps you, right? And you start spinning out of control. Well, when you're out of control, make sure that you are looking forward to where you're not going to go, so you don't crash into the wall. Don't be looking behind you. Look ahead of you." And I'll never forget that. And every time that I think of some different things in my life, I'm like, always be looking forward, never be looking backward. So listen, those are the 2 lessons that I want to share with you guys. Again, I've never shared that with anybody, so I appreciate you being kind, a little vulnerable. But you know what? It's been great. It was the best thing that I could have learned, looking back on it, although it was so devastating. So listen, if you're going through tough times, or something doesn't work out, or a business doesn't work out for you, or you get a promotion and then it gets taken away from you, or you get laid off or whatever, just remember, every time that there's a setback, it's usually for a good reason. Setbacks are usually, a setup for a comeback. So again, have faith. You got to have faith. Okay. So listen, have a great day. If you can relate to any of this, share it, comment on it, let me know your thoughts. But again, thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.